Hereford United Football Club is an English association football club based in the city of Hereford. The club currently plays in the Southern League Premier Division, the seventh tier of English football. Founded in 1924, the club was elected to the Football League in 1972, and spent 31 seasons in the league in two spells, 25 of them in the fourth tier. The club reached the old second division in 1976, its best league performance, but was relegated after only one season at that level. Hereford achieved national prominence in 1972 when, as a Southern League club, they knocked top-flight Newcastle United out of the FA Cup. Hereford have played at Edgar Street for their entire history. They are nicknamed the Whites or the Lillie Whites, after their predominantly white kit, or the Bulls after the Hereford cattle breed. The club's motto is "Our greatest glory lies not in never having fallen, but in rising when we fall." The club is affiliated to the Herefordshire County FA. History. For league and cup performance, see List of Hereford United FC seasons. Hereford United Football Club was founded in 1924 with the merger of two local clubs, St Martin's and RAOC, with the intention of sustaining a higher class of football in the city of Hereford. Hereford joined the Birmingham combination and lost its first match 2-3 to Atherstone United. The club's second ever match was an FA Cup preliminary round tie against future rivals Kidderminster Harriers, which they lost 2-7. Hereford progressed to the Birmingham and District League in 1928, where the club spent 11 seasons, with a best position of fourth. By the late 1930s the number of clubs in the league had decreased and Hereford successfully applied to join the Southern League UEFA Euro, but played only a few games in this league before the outbreak of the Second World War. At the same time the club became a limited company. When football resumed after the war, Hereford finished first in their first full season in the league, only to be demoted to second behind Chelmsford City, which was awarded points for unplayed matches. In 27 seasons in the Southern League, Hereford finished as runners-up 3 times, and also lifted the Southern League Cup 3 times. When the league was regionalised for one season in 1958 to Euro 59, Hereford also won their regional division to add to their third League Cup win. In 1966 Hereford signed John Charles, the former Leeds United, Juventus and Welsh international, boosting the support of the club. He became manager a year later and set about building a team to challenge at the top of the Southern League and gain election to the Football League. With the club becoming one of the best supported non-league clubs in the country, Charles used his standing within the game to canvass votes from member clubs for election to the Football League. The 1971 Euro 72 season saw the club finish second in the Southern League and gain national prominence due to its exploits in the FA Cup. Charles had departed the club in October 1971 and his successor Colin Addison inherited a side that defeated top-flight Newcastle United in the FA Cup. The star player was Dudley Tyler. Ronnie Radford and Ricky George's goals earned the club a fourth-round tie against West Ham United, where they were defeated in a replay at Upton Park. The cup run played a part in the club's successful election to the fourth division, replacing Barrow. The club rose rapidly to the second division after finishing runners-up in their first season in the fourth division and winning the third division title in 1976. Dixie McNeil was the leading goal scorer in the top 4 divisions of English football in the same season, but Hereford would only spend one season in the second tier before dropping back into the fourth division. The club's peak was in October 1976 when they were in 6th position before playing Brian Clough's Nottingham Forest, losing 3-4 at the City Ground. After this period of success the club spent 19 years in the bottom division, suffering financial problems in the early 1980s which resurfaced in the mid-1990s. The club enjoyed brief glimpses of their past success in the cup competitions, holding Arsenal to a 1-1 draw in the FA Cup of 1985 and narrowly losing 1-0 to Manchester United in the FA Cup of 1990. The club's first trophy for 14 years was the Welsh Cup won in the same season. In the league the club usually finished in the bottom half as it went through a succession of managers, finishing 17th in 4 consecutive seasons. Graham Turner was appointed manager for the beginning of the 1995-96 season and managed to lead the team to 6th place in the playoffs, despite the club being in 17th position 2 months previously. This resurgence was in part thanks to the goals of Steve White, who emulated Dixie McNeil by being the leading goal scorer in the top 4 divisions. Hereford lost to Darlington in the playoffs and, with financial problems worsening, the club lost key players for the following 1996-97 season. After a terrible run of form, the Hereford were ultimately relegated after a relegation decider at Edgar Street with Brighton and Hove Albion. In 1998, Turner purchased a majority shareholding from Peter Hill and Robin Ferry. The club was in serious financial difficulties, with debts of £1 million owed to a property development company which also controlled the leases on the stadium. Turner purchased only 2 players between 1997 and 2008 for a combined total of £40,000. The club's first 5 seasons in the conference saw little success on the pitch, with the club being forced to sell many of its key players and the future of Edgar Street in serious doubt. The 2001-02 FA Cup saw the club receive a financial bonus when the BBC televised the first-round match against Wrexham Live. Turner stated that the money was critical to the club's survival and therefore Gavin Williams's goal against Dover Athletic in the previous round is seen as the goal that saved the club. Having reached a 40-year low of 17th in the conference, the summer of 2002 proved a turning point as almost the entire squad was changed, the majority of new signings having been released from Football League clubs as a result of the ITV digital collapse. The new squad transformed the club into title contenders which, after a record-breaking season in the 2003-04 season, finished as runners-up in the conference but failed in the playoffs. 2004-05 saw an identical outcome, but in 2005-06 Hereford were promoted after defeating Halifax Town in the playoff final. The club returned to the Football League with a vastly improved financial situation. Under Turner, the club was now strictly living within its financial means, having turned a sizable profit in the latter conference seasons whilst spending just £20,000 on transfers. In addition, the team was playing attractive football which had earned them the mantle of the best footballing side in the conference. In 2006-07 Hereford achieved victories over 5 of the top 8 finishing clubs, but a poor run of form in the last part of the season dropped the club into 16th position. In the 2007-08 season the club were never out of the top 5 from November onwards and consistently placed in the automatic promotion places. Despite strong competition from Stockport County, Hereford secured 3rd place and promotion with a match to spare by defeating Brentford 3-0 at Griffin Park, though they were tipped to struggle in League One. 2008-09 saw the club play in the 3rd tier of English football for the first time since 1978. They rarely placed outside the relegation zone throughout the season, and achieved only 17 points at the halfway point. A 5-0 home win over Oldham Athletic was a rare good result, with top scorer Steve Knan scoring a hat-trick. Hereford's relegation was confirmed on April 18, 2009, after they recorded 1 win and 11 defeats in a 12-match spell. Turner subsequently stepped down as manager, paving the way for John Chwyke to become manager. However, Chwyke did not last a full season after a disappointing campaign and was dismissed on March 8, 2010. And Turner once again took over first-team duties on a temporary basis. David Keat was announced as the new club chairman on June 4, 2010 with Tim Russon as the new vice-chairman. They appointed Simon Davey as manager on June 22, 2010. Davey was sacked on October 4, 2010 after poor league form. He was succeeded by physio Jamie Pittman, who acted as caretaker manager until he was made manager on a full-time basis until the end of the 2010-11 season. Hereford were further relegated to the conference from League Two at the end of the 2011-12 season. Hereford were expelled from the conference on June 10, 2014 due to financial irregularities. It was revealed a week later that the club's debts could total as much as £1.3 million. The club was accepted into the Southern League Premier Division for the 2014-15 season on June 19, 2014. However, financial worries continue, including a winding-up petition started by Martin Foyle, who resigned as manager in March 2014. Hearings of the winding-up petition have been adjourned a number of times, including on July 7, 2014. A number of other creditors have attached themselves to the Foyle petition, including Andy Porter, former assistant manager, and HMRC. A CVA was proposed by the board of directors of the company, but was rejected by creditors. Many Hereford fans have chosen to boycott the club due to clashes between the fans and the board. Many fans feel anger over the board's choice to not pay a bond to remain in the Conference Premier and other management choices that the fans feel are not in the club's best interests. Colours and badge. Hereford originally played in an all-white strip, but their traditional colours are white shirts and black shorts. This dates back to the end of the Second World War, when they used material from blackout curtains to make shorts when they ran out of white material. However, they have occasionally reverted to an all-white strip, most recently in the 2004 Euro 05 and 2005 Euro 06 seasons. Their away colours have varied over the years, with predominantly yellow colours being used in recent years. Prior to 1971, the club played in plain shirts with no crest. A depiction of a Herefordshire bull was introduced for the 1971 Euro 72 season with HUFC lettering underneath. A supporters' club crest was also used during the 1970s. The shirt crest design has changed several times over the years, with the full club name being added above and below the bull, which has remained largely untouched. The current crest was introduced in the early 1990s but was not featured on the shirts until 2003. Hereford's shirt sponsors were Sun Valley Poultry between 1991 and 2009, the biggest employer in Hereford. A new 3-year sponsorship deal was agreed in May 2007 which will extend the sponsorship to 19 years, one of the longest in British football history. It was announced that the logo of Cargill, their parent company, would appear on the shirts from the 2009 Euro 10 season onwards. Hereford's shirt and kitwear suppliers are M&M Direct, another large employer in Herefordshire who have supported the club for many years. For the 2009 Euro 10 season, the kit will be manufactured by Admiral. In the 2014-15 season, Cargill ended sponsorship due to concerns over the financial running of the club. As of August 2014, the club has no sponsors, with many pulling out in the summer of 2014 due to the club's financial running and future viability. Stadium. Hereford United have played their home matches at Edgar Street since their formation in 1924. The ground was previously used by the amateur club Hereford City as well as for athletics. In far more recent years, the ground has been central to Hereford's financial troubles, with the previous owners of the club handing the leases over to a development company, from whom they had borrowed £1 million. During the club's early years in the conference, the future of the ground was in doubt, and relocation was considered to the point that plans for a new 7,500-seater stadium were drawn up. A joint venture agreement was made between the club and the developers to redevelop both ends of the ground to include leisure facilities that would enable the debt to be settled. The area around the ground is subject to a substantial redevelopment plan, known as the Edgar Street Grid. The club and the developers were originally looking to submit redevelopment plans to the council by the end of 2007. Although the ground redevelopment is independent of the ESG, plans for the building of a cinema at the Blackfriars End drawn up by the club and developers were not supported by ESG and Herefordshire Council. Several months later, plans for the ESG itself were published which included a cinema. The ground itself has changed little since the mid-1970s and is largely outdated and in need of urgent redevelopment. With the Blackfriars End failing a safety inspection in July 2009. The terraced end had fallen into a state of disrepair in recent years, which steadily reduced the stadium capacity from nearly 9,000 to reportedly 7,100. Although the capacity was officially confirmed as 7,700 in November 2007. Improvements have been made in recent years to ensure the ground met Football League standards, including new floodlights, dressing rooms and barriers on the terraces. The pitch itself was also completely relaid for the 2007 Euro 08 season, with a new sprinkler system installed for the 2008-09 season. As of 2013, the capacity of Edgar Street is 5,966, however, as of 2014, the club only has a safety certificate to allow 1,000 spectators. Support: Hereford United was historically one of the best supported clubs in non-league football, particularly in the last 2 seasons before their election to the Football League. Indeed, in their campaign for election they produced a newsletter which highlighted the fact that their average attendance was higher than those of 8 third division clubs, and 15 fourth division clubs. Approximately 10,000 Hereford supporters attended the conference playoff final. The club's official program is Bullseye, and there was also a fanzine called Talking Bull until the 2008-09 season, which has now been changed to an online format. Home attendances. Between 1972 and 1977, during the club's rise to the second division, home attendances averaged almost 8,000 per game. The support fell during the 1980s with the average home attendance under 3,000, the exception being the 1984-85 season when the club finished 5th. It was not until the latter conference years that attendances improved, with the 2003-04 season seeing the average home attendance rise to 3,704. The following season saw the figure drop to just over 3,000, while in the 2005-06 season, despite the club successfully gaining promotion, a figure was 2,791. For the 2006-07 season the club had an average home league attendance of 3,327. With the exception of 2003-04, this is the highest average attendance since the 1984-85 season. The club has rarely enjoyed capacity crowds at Edgar Street in recent years, having last seen a 5-figure home attendance in 1990. Since the reduction of the Edgar Street capacity in line with the Taylor report, the highest home attendance has been 8,953 in 1994 a Coca-Cola Cup second-round match against Nottingham Forest. The highest league home attendance was 8,532, which was the relegation decider against Brighton and Hove Albion in 1997. Following the takeover by Tommy Agomba, following the conclusion of the 2013-2014 season, Hereford's Supporters Trust voted to boycott United's fixtures, and subsequently attendances dropped from around 2,000 in the 2013-2014 season, to around 200 to 400 during the opening exchanges of the 2014-2015 Southern League. Club Anthem. The club's official anthem is Hereford United, which was written and performed by Danny Lee, a notable supporter of the club. Originally recorded and released in 1972, the same year as the famous FA Cup run, a rendition is usually sung at every Hereford match both home and away. The song has been remixed 3 times, in 1979, 2002 and 2006. The song was covered and released as a fundraising single, by local band King Mantis in 2013. Rivals. Hereford have had a number of rivalries with other clubs throughout their history. In the club's Southern League era, Worcester City were considered their fiercest rivals. Both Cardiff City and Newport County were considered rivals in the 1970s and 1980s. In the recent Football League era since promotion from the conference, the club's rivals have included Kidderminster Harriers, Cheltenham Town and Shrewsbury Town. The latter being considered the club's biggest rivals at present. Personnel. Current squad, as of 1531, Saturday, November 8, 2014. Note: flags indicate national team as defined under FIFA eligibility rules. Players may hold more than one non-FIFA nationality. Reserves and youth team. Hereford United do not have a dedicated reserve team playing in a league, but several reserve matches do occur throughout the season, featuring teams with a mix of fringe players, trialists and youth players. Hereford United youth play in the Southwest Conference Football League Youth Alliance. Club staff: Chairman Andrew Lonsdale, Manager John Taylor, Assistant Manager Neil Phelps, Physio Malcolm Cole, Managers. For a full list of Hereford United managers, see Hereford United managers, Graham Turner was the longest-serving Hereford United manager and was also second to Sir Alex Ferguson as the longest-serving manager in the English Football League, having completed almost 14 seasons at the club. The statistics of Hereford United's four most successful managers from the 1972-73 season onwards are shown below. Statistics include league matches only and are correct as of May 7, 2011. Notable players. For more information, see List of Hereford United F.C. players. A number of full internationals have played for Hereford in its 90-year history, although Brian Evans was the only player to be capped while at the club. Gavin McCullum came on for Canada on May 29, 2010 against Venezuela in a friendly and scored a late equaliser, becoming the second Hereford United player to be capped and the first to score while at the club. Records. After their solitary season in the old Second Division in 1976-77, the club became the first old Third Division champions to finish bottom the following season. Hereford are also the last English club to have won the Welsh Cup, which they did so in 1990. John Layton, Sr. holds the record for competitive appearances for the club, making 549 appearances between 1946 and 1964. In recent times the only player to come close to breaking this record was Mel Pajic, who had made 523 appearances before his departure in 1992. Pajic made a record 412 Football League appearances for the club. Charlie Thompson holds the record for goals scored for the club, scoring 184 in all competitions between 1945 and 1958. In recent times Stuart Phillips is the only player to even approach this total with 124. His total of 95 goals in the Football League is a club record. The sale of Lionel Ainsworth is set to break the club's transfer record of £440,000, dependent on the fortunes of Watford. Honours: Second Division, Best Season, 22nd position, Third Division, Champions, 4th Division, Runners-up, 3rd place, Playoffs, Conference National, Runners-up, Playoff winners, Southern League, Runners-up, FA Cup, 4th round, Welsh Cup, winners, Runners-up, Southern League Cup, winners, Football League Trophy, Semi-finalists, FA Trophy, Semi-finalists, Football League Cup, 3rd round. Further reading, Parrott, Ron. Hereford United, The League Era. Desert Island Books. ISBN A1-874287-18 Exeter, Parrott, Pryman Williamson. Hereford United, The Wilderness Years. Desert Island Books. ISBN A1-905328-22-2 Rowland, George. The Ultimate Drop. Tempest Publishing. ISBN A0-7524-2217-0 Williamson, John. The Hereford United Story, 50 Years at Edgar Street. Hereford Printing Company Limited. Powell, Denise and Edge, David. Hereford United. Tempest Publishing. ISBN A0-7524-3155-2 Charles, John. King John. Headline Book Publishing. ISBN A0-7553-1208-2 Stansbury, Mitch. A Corner Kick from the Middle of Nowhere. Offside Publishing. ISBN A978-9557351-0-3 Footnotes. External links. Official, Hereford United official website, Graham Turner column, General, Hereford United FC. On BBC Sport, Club News Recent results upcoming fixtures Club statistics, Hereford Times, Independent Hereford United Online Archive, HUFC in action match photos, unofficial Hereford United archives.